Good afternoon. My name is Ahmad Al-Zahabi. I'm Assistant Professor in Petroleum Engineering and the Coordinator of the Order of the Engineer. Uh, it is my privilege on behalf of the National Board of Governors of the Order of Engineer to welcome you to this ceremony. Other members of the Order who are assisting with this ceremony are Dr. George Nana, Professor of Mechanical Engineering and the Dean of the College of Engineering. Dr. Safr Arbabi, Coordinator and Professor of Chemical Engineering. Dr. Forrest Flocker, Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Hassan Hijazi, Professor of Electrical Engineering. Dr. Zain Zeng, Associate Professor of Petroleum Engineering. Before we begin the ceremony, it is my honor to introduce Dr. George Nana, who would like to offer a few words of congratulations to the inductee.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Zahabi.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations to everyone. Give yourself a round of applause. What a journey. You have been in pursuing this profession for a few years, and today has come. Today has come almost to the finish line when you consider yourself an engineer, when you will start applying the theories that was presented in these classrooms to design systems that will help humanity. We thank you so much for being with us, and we believe that we will continue to be a part of each other as you progress through life. I would just like to say a few words. We have an amazing faculty that have dedicated their time to be with you, to teach you in the labs as well as in the classroom. So I would like to recognize and give them a round of applause as well. This journey will not be possible without your parents and your siblings. And some of them, I see their faces here, and I would like to recognize them as well. So please give them a round of applause. It is not very difficult to see what engineers do. From the clothing you wear, to your makeups, to the seat that you're sitting on, to your vehicle, to the air that you breathe, to the electricity. Engineers have hand in it. To the medical devices that you use, every machine, engineers have a hand in everything. So it's quite an honorable profession. So I will encourage you to hold it dear and to behave as such. As an engineer, there are a few things that we hold very dear. Safety, public health is important. Whatever system that you design, make sure that you consider the safety of the people that are going to use it. If you design unsafe systems, instead of helping mankind, you will create additional problems. We see wars that is going on in the world today. We design systems to save life and not to destroy life. Second is focus in the area of your competencies. As a petroleum engineer, you focus on petroleum engineering and make advice in the area of your specialty. You cannot provide professional advice in the area that you are not competent in. That would be a violation of the Keynote of ethics. Additionally, you should issue public statements in objective manner. You should be faithful to your clients. You cannot transfer information or what we call export data from one client to another in order to make profit. You also need to hold a door for others that are coming behind you. There are a number of people that will need support. You may not know them, or you may know them. Don't close the door after you pass through. Try to hold it for somebody else. That's the way we can build a better society. And in closing, as you leave this university, we would like to remain connected to see how you are doing and what the education you have gained from UTP is helping to shape you and to shape the society. So I would like to thank you so much to keep up the good work, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nana. Dr. Hijazi will now present the history of the order.
Well, good afternoon and congratulations to all the graduates. Before I start, I just want to say a couple of words, of encouragement. When I was a college student like you, over 40 years ago, in my hometown in Mexico, I used to like a song which was written by a Spanish poet called Jose Machado. And just want to say a couple of these lines, that song said, that's a very famous poet. It says, caminante, son tus huellas el camino y nada más. Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. This poem has a lot of significance. In English, it says, walker or traveler, your footprints are the only road, nothing else. Traveler, there is no road. You make your own path when you walk. So you guys are going to start your own path. You are going to put your footprints. And I hope that you can achieve your careers and become productive community citizens and leaders in your profession. So all the best. History of the order. This ceremony presents an opportunity for us to take a pledge and to recall that the professional purpose of engineering involves the pursuit of a learned art in the spirit of public service. By following the acceptance of the obligation, the individual engineer reinforces similar efforts of his or her peers, realizing that in unity there is strength. Decades ago, our engineering counterparts in Canada had this same feeling. They believed that a need existed for the introduction of a spirit of brotherhood and cohesiveness among engineers. The Canadians believed that a good way to achieve this purpose would be to instill in engineers a consciousness of belonging to one another, to themselves as individuals, and to those who they serve. Thus, in Canada in 1926, was born what is now known as the ritual of the calling of an engineer. The words of the ritual were written by the English author Rudyard Kipling, who had much depth of feeling for engineers as the builders of things intended to benefit mankind. The Canadian ceremony is dignified, impressive, and includes the placing of a wrought iron ring on the small finger of the individual's working hand, and then having them repeat in concert the words of Kipling. It is difficult to visualize any better symbolism than that of a ring. It is worn for all to see, and saying in effect that here is an engineer dedicated to a publicly avowed obligation to the profession and to those it serves. In Ohio, similar ideals to those written by Kipling were well established, and correspondence began in October 1953 between the Canadian wardens responsible for the administration of the calling of an engineer and the officers of the Ohio Society of Professional Engineers, with a view to possibly extending the Canadian ceremony to the United States. Due to copyright and other conflicting factors, extension of the ritual into this county was not possible. In 1966, a group of engineers in Ohio, with members of several engineering organizations, began to pursue the objective of what came to be called the Order of the Engineer. While the deliberations of this group were in progress, seniors of Fenn College of Engineering of Cleveland State University, counseled by Dean Burl Bush, designed and held a ring ceremony and reception on June 4, 1970. Each participant signed a creed and received a plain stainless steel ring placed on the small finger of his or her working hand. 170 engineering seniors and engineering faculty members took part in this first ceremony. Since then, the movement has spread rapidly throughout the states. Such is the story of an increasing acceptance of the Order of the Engineer. As it is known in the United States today, it is patterned on the Canadian concept, but with the stainless steel ring symbolizing strength and unity of the profession and providing an identifying mark of an engineer. I would now like to ask Dr. Zeng to describe to you the significance of the obligation and the engineer's ring. Thank you very much and all the best.
Good afternoon. And now is the time for us to appreciate the significance of the order. So before we start anything, how many of us are married? Raise your hand. So when we celebrate our marriage wedding, there's a very important part. What was that? The male and the female partners need to take a word, saying that they will trust each other, they will stay each other, and over here, this is about the time. And I'm trying to introduce the significance of the order. Candidates for the order, guests and friends. The Order of the Engineer, to which you will soon belong, is an independent organization. The purpose is to foster a feeling of pride in and dedicated to the profession which binds us together. Okay, which binds us together. You are asked to accept with pride the meaning of the ceremony to which you are about to subscribe. The obligation should be freely given and the responsibility gladly accepted. The order is symbolized by the acceptance of the obligation and the wearing of a stainless steel ring on the little finger of the working hand. The obligation is the formal statement of an engineer's responsibilities to the public and to the profession. It is a creed similar to the oath attributed to Hippocrates that is commonly taken by medical graduates and which sets forth as an ethical code. The obligation likewise contains part of the canon of ethics of major engineering societies. Initiates, as they voluntarily accept it, pledge to uphold the standards and dignity of the engineering profession and to serve humanity by making the best use of the Earth's precious and limited resources. The obligation emphasizes the fact that we, as engineers, have certain obligations. It promotes honesty and integrity and recognizes that today's engineers are dependent on their predecessors for their skills. Thank you. Now, Dr. Ababi is going to introduce the significance of the ring.
Good afternoon. Congratulations to all the graduates and respective families. Significance of the ring. The ring, a symbol of pride, prestige, honor, and professionalism among all engineers in the United States. Also serves as a reminder to all engineers, to the engineer of our obligation to society. The symbol of your desire to serve the public is the engineer's ring. The ring you will wear on the small finger of the working hand will say to all who see it, here is an engineer, possessed of a public avowed dedication to the profession and the public they serve. It is our symbol. Wear it for all to see. It is a badge of recognition which will become known to all as the sign of a learned professional pledged to making the best use of Earth's precious and limited resources. Dr. Flocker will now administer the acceptance of the obligation.
Will all the candidates and current members of the Order of the Engineer please stand up? Candidates, the Order of the Engineer is an independent movement. The purpose is to foster a feeling of pride in and dedication to our profession. Your membership in the obligation symbolized by the acceptance of an obligation and the wearing of the stainless steel ring on the little finger of the working hand. There are no meetings other than this ceremony, and there are no dues. We will now recite the obligation found on the back of the program in unison. I am an engineer. In my profession, I take deep pride. I owe to it to a solemn obligations. As an engineer, I pledge to practice integrity and fair dealing, tolerance and respect, and to uphold devotion to the standards and dignity of my profession, conscious always that my skill carries with it the obligation to serve humanity by making the best use of Earth's precious resources. As an engineer, I shall participate in none but honest enterprises. When needed, my skill and knowledge shall be given without reservation for the public good. In the performance of duty and in fidelity to my profession, I shall give my utmost. Now, in the presence of your fellow engineers, you'll be called forward to come to the right of the stage and to sign your certificate as an indication of your acceptance of the obligation of the Order of the Engineer. You will then place your working hand through the ceremonial ring and receive your ring as the outward sign of your profession. Nana, will you please present the rings to the candidates at the ceremonial ring as they are called? Dr. Monica Gray. Alexandro Corrales. on a hold one. Angel Loya. Angel McKee. Christella Prescott. Emmanuel Fuja. Eric Hernandez. Gideon Quay. Isaac Hernandez. Jacqueline Munoz. Jay Patel. Jerry Guillaume. Joel Gonzalez. Caleb Miles. Khalid Huder. Lauren Stallworth. Rodolfo Garcia. Sergio Garcia. Augusto Crestani. Okay, Dr. Al-Zahabi will now give some concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Flocker. I welcome each of you to the privileges and the obligations of the Order of Engineer. This rank is a reminder of our calling. Your certificate is your creed. It bears your name and signature. It is your pact with your profession. Read it thoughtfully, regard it with humility, wear your rank proudly and with distinction for our engineer. I ask the audience to join me in congratulating the newest members of the Order of Engineer. This concludes the Order of Engineers rank ceremony. Everybody is invited to attend an informal reception for the new members of the Order of Engineer just outside the lobby. Thank you so much for participating.
But yeah, I agree. Well, it's not first, so let's stop this.